Hey everyone, happy Good Friday. Breaking news, Democrat Senator Van Hollen visits Abrego Garcia in El Salvador. And so that's what the topic is today, is to discuss that the fact that Democrats care more about illegal immigrants than African Americans. And if you are an African American and you're a Democrat in the state of Maryland, you have no respect for yourself. Okay. The Democrats have shown you, and their goal during the Biden administration was to bring in these illegal immigrants, ship them to predominantly African American cities where they could gain voters. Also, in addition, they wanted to ship these illegal immigrants to Republican dominated cities and states so that they could take over those specific states concerning the amount of senators, Senate votes, as well as House of Representatives, and that those illegal immigrants, once they had the opportunity to vote, that they would be loyal to the Democratic Party. And this display by Democratic Senator Van Hollen is another display that you as an African American do not matter to the Democratic Party. Now, this is nothing new. If you knew your history books, and they stopped teaching you proper American history, but if you go back to the end of the Civil War, when the Civil War ended, America was 80% African American. And this is due to slavery, particularly the states of Maryland and Mississippi had so many slaves that 80% of the population of the United States was African American. Now, what the Democratic South did to thwart the Union is they opened up immigration. And that is the reason why they brought the Irish in. The Irish immediately went to the city of New York, where New York City, Manhattan Island, was actually African-American city. They first brought in the Irish, who immediately began committing violence against the African Americans in New York City. And then later on, they brought the Italians, they brought the Russian and Germans, and specifically the Russian and German Jewish people settled on the island of Manhattan and took the power away from African Americans. And that is why Manhattan Island and Wall Street is dominated by Jewish people who are descendants of Germany and Russia. Now, to continue this path over during the Biden administration, they've brought more than 5 million illegal immigrants from South American countries, sent them to predominantly African-American cities such as Chicago, sent them to Republican strongholds to dilute the Republican vote so that they could gain Senate seats as well as House of Representative seats. And so Senator Van Hollen, and so that's why you see this outrage by the Democratic Party about shipping back all these illegal immigrants. And you see that they're putting more energy into fighting for the illegal immigrants that have been brought here than cleaning up cities like Baltimore. So if you're an African American and you're in the city of Baltimore, well, that's a blue city in a blue state. And African Americans are the majority population in the city of Baltimore. So now I'm saying to you, the African American residents of Baltimore, if you are still voting Democrat, you don't have, shame on you. You don't have any respect for yourself. And you see that the Democrats are fighting to keep all the illegal immigrants so that they can find a pathway to make these people voters so that they can take control over the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. And in 2026, flip the vote, and then they can impeach President Trump. That's what all of this about. You can see that they're making no attempt to work with the Republicans in passing any of the agenda of Donald Trump. They're not trying to pass a budget. they've lost their way. And in a way, it's actually sad, but it actually isn't, because they have ill intentions from the start. And now they're trying to figure out what their agenda should be. And they don't have an agenda. So now their eye is on the prize of 2026. If we can, they've already had illegal immigrants vote in the 2024 election at the state level in California and in other states, and at the federal level, by illegally allowing these illegal immigrants to vote in our U.S. election in November 2024. So that's what the agenda is. And that's why there's not really much to report on cryptocurrency, on the financial markets, because the financial markets, the speculative markets, are trying to figure out which way is the economy going. And the Democrats are doing everything in their power to thwart President Trump's ability to get the economy going, because they don't care. These are globalists. And like me, I figured this out, and I don't feel sorry for the Democratic Party. And I want you to realize that it's not only white Democrats that are part of this, but African-American Democrats. Hakeem Jeffrey is probably an exception, but Cory Booker, he's confused, and he's a part of my Stanford family, but he doesn't know what he stands for right now. And I no longer support Cory Booker, even though he's a part of my Stanford family. So I'm not going to trash him. But I see now, as an African-American, Cory Booker doesn't care about me as an African-American, even though we are both African-American and we both are alumni of Stanford University. In addition to that, you see at the House level and at the Senate level that African-Americans are more concerned with transgender, homosexual rights than the African-American community as a whole. Because these outliers, African Americans who are gay, transgender, are a very small minority of the African American population, especially in particular. So let's be real about it. The city of Atlanta and the city of Washington, D.C. are the homosexual strongholds for African Americans. Nevertheless, the state of Georgia is a predominantly religious state, and African Americans in the state of Georgia are extremely religious and family oriented. And so this is why we observe the Obama marriage deteriorate, and there's a lot of implications. We see that Michael Obama, whatever she or he, whatever they want to label her, she doesn't care about Barack Obama. She doesn't care about the Democratic Party. She doesn't care about African Americans. Michelle Obama is self-absorbed right now, and that is why she no longer is a factor. The Obamas as a whole no longer matter. Stacey Abrams now is on the brink of being indicted. She's going through her own investigation. And then Letitia James is clearly going to be indicted over this real estate fraud. And the information on her fraud applications for the mortgages she applied for have now been made public. So she looks very bad at this point. With that, let's go to a small excerpt of Senator Van Hollen meeting with Abrego Garcia so you can witness what I'm talking about. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to show you an excerpt of Senator Van Hollen spending taxpayer dollars to go fight for Abrego Garcia. And what I want to see from Senator Van Hollen, what the hell are you going to do for the city of Maryland? I mean, the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore. Okay, if Senator Van Hollen does not come back and announce his agenda and economic plan to clean up the city of Baltimore, then you know that Senator Van Hollen is a fraud. If he doesn't have plans for improving the economy of Maryland and cleaning up the violence, the drugs, the lack of jobs in the city of Baltimore, then you know that Senator Van Hollen is a fraud. And African Americans in the state of Maryland need to vote him out. So with that, let's go to this small excerpt so you can see that this clown, like, you should be suspect now of the Democratic Party. And I'm including African Americans, okay? You should be suspect of the African Americans in the Democratic Party because it's clear that they don't represent you.
Any equivalence between Kilmar Abrego Garcia and the migrant who murdered Maryland's Rachel Morin.
I am here to vouch for the judicial system in the United States, which guarantees individuals the right to due process.
El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele, an ally of President Trump, posted photos of the meeting and wrote, quote, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, miraculously risen from the, quote, death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Abrego Garcia came to the U.S. illegally from El Salvador. The Supreme Court says the administration must facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the U.S. after authorities mistakenly deported him last month. Reporters asked the president.
Okay, so let's stop with sharing. And also, let's refute this lie that the Supreme Court said that the Trump administration must facilitate Abrego Garcia coming back to the United States, because that's bullshit. No, the specific judge in Maryland said that Trump administration has to facilitate returning Abrego Garcia. First of all, he's a criminal because he came into the city, into the country illegally. Therefore, he is not even entitled to due process. Second of all, he's already been tied to MS-13. Third, it's an outright lie that the Supreme Court felt that this case was important enough to intercede. Specifically, an Obama-appointed judge in the state of Maryland at the federal level said that Trump needed to bring and facilitate Abrego Garcia coming back into the country. So now you know that the Democratic Party as a whole, the judges in Maryland have no problem incarcerating African Americans and not giving them due process. The senators as well as representatives in the state of Maryland have no problem allowing Baltimore to be a cesspool of low unemployment, high violence, and drug use by African Americans. Yet the Democratic court system in Maryland, the Democratic senators and representatives are more concerned with the rights of illegal immigrants in the state of Maryland than the high amount of deaths in the city of Baltimore, the lack of job opportunities and you don't see Senator Chris Van Hollen fighting to bring jobs to the city of Baltimore so that African Americans can have an economic opportunity and stop killing themselves. So this is all a bunch of bullshit from the Democratic Party, both white and black, at the judicial level, at the Senate level, at the House of Representative level, and at the city level, the city council in the city of Baltimore. I mean, I lived in Baltimore as well as Washington, D.C., and the Democrats, both black and white, African American and Caucasian, don't give a shit about the amount of African Americans that are killing themselves monthly in the city of Baltimore. They're more concerned with bringing more illegal immigrants to the United States to vote in their favor. So once again, I'm going to close this out because I'm here. This is Crypto Kid TV. We should be talking about what Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to do, what the S&P 500 is going to do, what the Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to do, and how our economy is going to improve. But these bullshit Democrats, both at the judicial level, the judges are all corrupt. The House of Representatives are corrupt. The senators, the Democratic Congress as a whole, these people, both black and white, are corrupt. They don't give a shit about you and I as African Americans. And that's one of the reasons why I left the San Francisco Bay Area, because I realized I lived in San Francisco for 2 years, and I realized that the city of San Francisco didn't give a shit about me as a black man, didn't give, and Gavin Newsom didn't give a shit about me as an African American in the state of California. And that's, and I'm glad that Gavin Newsom is showing that, hey, just mail out ballots to anybody in California. Illegal people can vote, because it's showing you why there's not a lot of opportunity for African Americans in Los Angeles. If you're an African American and you live in Los Angeles City and County is 55% Hispanic. And this has been going on since the early 80s. Okay. So, and birthright citizenship was meant for after the Civil War, where African slaves and their children could have citizenship for being here for 400 years. It wasn't meant to bring Mexicans across the border of Arizona and California in their 6th and 7th month and then give birth to their children and then use that as an excuse to gain citizenship for their children as well as themselves. And that is the reason why, and I want you to know this, that, and for the one person that's watching, stay for a couple of minutes, you asshole, so I can tell you the truth. When I graduated from high school in 1987, the Hispanic population in the state of California was 3%. The Hispanic population in California has to be between 40 and 50%, and that's because of illegal immigration. And it was due to wash out the power of the Black Panther Party in Oakland and the Nation of Islam in Los Angeles, so that black people would not have any economic and political power after the civil rights movement. And so thus far, they've accomplished that goal. And that's why even Watts and Compton and El Segundo and Carson and Inglewood, which used to be predominantly black up until the 1980s, have lost their power. And that's why Maxine Waters, listen, for the three people, hold on for 1 minute before I cut out of here. Maxine Waters got her House of Representatives seat in Los Angeles because she was initially voted in by African Americans, by black people in Los Angeles County. Now she has to cater specifically to the rights of Hispanics because African Americans have been drowned out. They get nothing in Los Angeles County. So with that, I'm keeping it real, and I don't give a shit if I monetize or not with YouTube. I'm keeping it real. I'm letting you guys know. That's why we got to go crypto. And African Americans, we're going to create our own money through cryptocurrency, and that's what we need to do. So that is the plan, African Americans. So signing out for Crypto Kid TV. Our plan in America, African Americans, we're going to create our own crypto where we dominate this crypto. Remember, the African American economy is the 7th largest economy in the world, and we only represent 13 and probably less than 13% of the American population. So with that, let's create our own crypto, invest in Crypto Kid. Once we have our own cryptocurrency, it can't be Bitcoin, it can't be Ethereum. African Americans, we need our own cryptocurrency because we are the 7th largest economy in the world. And when we get our own cryptocurrency, that's when we're going to dominate America. We're going to dominate the world, and we're going to burn up all these US dollars that are meaningless. Remember, the American US dollar is a piece of shit. And that's because Henry Kissinger convinced Richard Nixon to get off the gold standard so that the American Congress could give all this money to Israel. And now we're fighting the war of Israel, and Israel wants to expand. And they have no problem annihilating the black people, the Palestinians, so that they can expand. Okay. And that is the goal. They want to expand into Iran. They want to expand into Syria and Lebanon. And Benjamin Netanyahu wants President Trump and the United States to be their bitch so we can continue to fund Israel with billions of dollars, giving them military weapon and support their 40% unemployment. It's time to chop off all of aid to Ukraine as well as Israel, and then let them fight that war. Benjamin Netanyahu, when we stop giving you money and when we stop giving you military weapons, let's see how strong Israel is, and let's see how many years the state of Israel lasts. So with that, this is Daniel Plummer, the Crypto Kid, keeping it real, saying shit that nobody else wants to say. And this is for you, President Trump, because I voted for you, and I'm a total MAGA Donald Trump supporter, and I've been loving Donald Trump since the 1980s. Don't be Benjamin Netanyahu's bitch. If Israel wants to fight Iran, let them do it. Stop giving them money. Stop giving that clown Zelensky money. Let them fight their own wars, because we're giving more money to Israel and the Ukraine than we are to helping African Americans in Chicago, Oakland, Los Angeles, and Baltimore. You hear that? That's right. Keeping it real. Daniel Plummer, the Crypto Kid, saying shit that nobody else on the internet wants to say. Keeping it real. I'll see you tomorrow.